The Bethlehem story does not begin with Mary. It does not start with an angel. It begins with a grave. Genesis 35. Jacob walks the road to Ephrath, the old name for Bethlehem. Rachel, his beloved wife, is in labor. She cries, she bleeds, she dies. Welcome to the Sebcast, home of the #1 network for your life. Here we turn our beloved stories on their heads, look at what history might have overlooked, and discover together how Jesus invites us into a bigger story where we live, work, and play. Before Rachel dies, she names the child Ben-Oni, which means son of my pain. But Jacob gives him a new name, Benjamin, which means son of my right hand. On the road to Bethlehem, a son is born between death and promise, an identity torn between two names. The place where lambs are raised is also the place where a mother dies, where a man cries, where a baby loses his name and receives a new one. Bethlehem was never just beautiful. It is no coincidence that this story happens here. Rachel dies at the place where lambs are watched over for the temple. Benjamin becomes the ancestor of Paul, the apostle of grace. The tragedy of one birth becomes the theology of another, Jesus. God does not write in straight lines. He writes through migration, through loss, through new names. Jacob was not on a pilgrimage. He was on his way home with a broken life, a complicated family, and a story full of guilt and lies. In other words, God begins the Bethlehem narrative with someone like us. Maybe you recognize yourself here. You carry a name: son of pain, daughter of failure, man of shame, mother of burnout, person of not good enough. You live with a story that got stuck somewhere on the road, not at and they lived happily ever after, but at and then everything went wrong. Listen carefully. God did not change Rachel's circumstances. She did not rise. The pain was not wiped away. But God changed the child's name. Ben-Oni became Benjamin. The trauma of his birth does not define him, but by the promise of his destiny. And here is the gospel. God cannot always hold back your pain, but He can prevent your identity from being trapped by it. Imagine Jacob, knuckles white from holding on, the warm body of his wife growing cold. He does not stand still. He walks. He carries the baby. He carries the pain. He presses his face into the child's neck and whispers, "I will not let your name break you. You will not be the son of my pain. You become the son of my right hand." You see, faith is not denying that something hurts. Faith is choosing a new name while you are still broken. And Bethlehem says, God still does this. The new growth for the #1 network for your life that you are part of and contribute to means we must be a network where people discover new names. Not just new activities, new services, new programs, but a new identity. A church where people do not have to hide their trauma, but also do not allow it to become their title. A network where people learn not just to survive, but to thrive. From lack to beloved, from failure to bearer of promise, from Ben-Oni to Benjamin. There is something deeply prophetic about a church that not only comforts hurting people, but renames them. This is Bethlehem. This is the gospel. This is new growth. Until tomorrow, take care